and welcome. I'm Laura Rogers, and this is SharePoint Power Hour, and I have Joelle here on audio.
Hello, hello.
And today's SharePoint Power Hour is a special one. It's going to be dedicated to talk about the big SharePoint conference in Las Vegas coming up next month, May 21st through 23rd. And very excited about it. Can't wait. And I can't wait to share all this great information with you all. So we are, the fun thing about this Power Hour that we've been having for 5, 6, 7 years or so now is that it's live, so we have a chat going on. So we have, if you are watching on YouTube, there's just a little blurb at the bottom with a link to log in to the Slack, iwmentor.slack.com. And if you've never joined before, there's a little form to fill in to request to be invited. And if you are on Facebook, we are broadcasting to our Facebook page, iwmentor. So you can watch on Facebook, and I put these cute little Facebook reaction things on here that you can do. And so they'll show live during the show. And that's the fun part about it, is that it's live. We can chat. You all can ask questions and give feedback. And, you never know what's going to happen. So this is just a really fun show today. All right, so I do have sort of an agenda for the show. We're going to talk about, just in general, we're going to talk about, it's not all fun in Vegas and goofing off. It is a conference, and we are going to learn a lot, although it is a lot of fun. So we'll talk about first steps to take when you're deciding to go to SharePoint conference. And then we'll talk about goals for being at the conference. And, we can just kind of chat also about just kind of tips and other tidbits of information as we go. So, first of all, when you're going to the SharePoint conference, step 1, register. And be sure and use my code Rogers for a $50 discount. And the information is down in the bottom corner of the screen, the dates and everything. So once you've registered, don't just forget about it until it's time to get there. Go ahead and get on Twitter. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, I don't use Twitter. I'm not into Twitter. I'm not a Twitter person. But when you're going to these SharePoint conferences, the SharePoint community is huge on Twitter. So even if you're just joining Twitter for the first time just for this conference, just get on Twitter anyway and create an account and start following SPC19. So follow the SPC19 hashtag. I put a link to it in the little general channel here in Slack, just to go straight to that hashtag. And start following it, and start following all the people that are speakers there. Start getting involved in the conversations, get to know the speakers and what they're talking about, and kind of get a feel for different people's speakers' roles, and what sessions you might be interested in going to. So go ahead. Let me go ahead and I'll share my screen here. So this is SPC19. So this is, look, they tweeted about us having the show, but follow the SPC19 hashtag. So get involved definitely on Twitter, even if you've never been on Twitter. All right, so once you've gotten registered, gotten on Twitter, then, go on the conference website and start picking your sessions. And they're actually really organized into different tracks. So let's talk about some of the tracks that we have. I'll go ahead and go back to sharing my desktop and go over to the SharePoint conference webpage and the sessions. So we have workshops. So the conference isn't just May 21st through 23rd, there are pre-conference and post-conference workshops. So I highly recommend, when you registering to go to the workshop days too, which are great extra days to get like the really deep dive sessions that you can go to. So again, peruse all the, and these are really long, like all day and half day workshops. So there's some on Sunday, Monday, and mine is going to be on Friday, the last day after the conference. So definitely go to my Power Apps and Flow workshop that I'm teaching. All right, so here are the tracks. We have business. Now this is going to be geared toward business users, not going to be super technical. So if you're a business user or power user, that type of person, you're not a programmer or an admin, definitely take a look at the biz track. Dev is for programmers. So the dev track is programming and writing code. All these are awesome programmers. That's going to be some really nitty gritty technical stuff. And then you have div is diversity. This is the diversity track. So those are really good sessions to go to talk about different concepts that aren't necessarily technical having to do with SharePoint. And then IT Pro is more of a server admin role. That's my background. I started off as a SharePoint admin. So this is going to be, IT Pro is going to be more of admin topics and server admin, like especially if you're using on-premises SharePoint and you need to learn about admin of those servers. That is what the IT Pro track is for. And then the Microsoft track is Microsoft speakers. So those are just all people that work at Microsoft and their sessions. And there isn't anything in the podcast track. I'm going to ignore that for now. But you can also take a look at all this long list of products, and you can fine tune your list of sessions by products, by your role at work. And I recommend slicing and dicing this a lot of different ways just to really kind of get down to find the things that you are interested in. And of course, I would just read them all anyway. So go ahead and go through the sessions, and knowing your role and what you do, and kind of get a feel for which sessions are going to match up with that. Also, another way that you can get to know what's going on and understand more about these sessions besides what they say is to go to, and I put a link to this too, this is the SharePoint Conference YouTube channel. And there's a whole playlist of everyone's promo videos that for the conference. So if I go to SharePoint Conference, there is actually a playlist. So it says, look who's talking at SPC19. And that is the playlist of all the people's, like me, all the speakers submitted little short videos explaining their sessions and explaining what they're going to be teaching you. So there's Matt Wade, there's Asif. I wish these weren't so slow. Are they going to show me a commercial? Oh.
Want to do
so
what you
Asif Ramani. Here's Sarah and Wes.
Hi everybody, this is Sarah.
And there's Agnes. She's really good at SharePoint search. I can't really flip through all these, but basically, if you want to know more about the sessions that you might be interested in, the speakers, just go watch these little, they're all just about a minute or two long. Just go watch these little videos and get to know and get a feel for what you want to put on your list to go see for your sessions. Pretty cool, right? So you all are, so say hello in the chat. I see a few of you say that you're excited. Jeremy says 1 month, 3 days for Vegas. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. So go ahead and register, get on Twitter, pick your sessions. And so not only just read the blurbs, but go look at the speakers' videos that we all put together to really get a feel for that. Now, sometimes, it is all about the sessions, and it is all about learning. So let me put my next little blurb up here. Okay, so the goals. This is a business trip, right? You do have goals. You do want to learn. So the first goal you definitely have is to learn, right, Joelle? You're there to gain knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was muted.
Sometimes you might get a little sidetracked, though, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of distraction.
But don't get upset about getting sidetracked and feel like you don't like kick yourself in the head over missing one session here or there, because you got into a good conversation with people, though, right? Because networking is important.
Yeah, I mean, definitely actually making connections at these conferences is probably one of the most important parts about them, for sure.
Yeah. And so I used to kind of, when I had just, my big corporate job and I just was going to conferences to learn stuff, when people would say to go network at the conference, I would just think, well, that doesn't apply to me because I'm not looking for a job. It doesn't really matter. I don't need to go get a bunch of connections, and it doesn't, whatever. I'll just go be antisocial. Well, it doesn't, it's not just for if you're looking for a job or needing to, build your list of LinkedIn connections. It's these conversations that you're having with people when you're meeting people at the conference. They're actually probably going to help you in your job just as much as the sessions do, because sometimes I'll just go to these things and go and, sit in the lunchroom just at a table full of people I don't know, and just start talking to people about how they use SharePoint, what their roles are, and just kind of like things that they do at work with SharePoint and the way they did a certain thing with adoption or site provisioning or something like that. So you'll actually learn a lot and get really good ideas just from talking to other normal people and chatting. You can chat with the speakers. It's go find people in the expo hall and ask questions, meet people that you don't know in the lunchroom, and chat with them about SharePoint. So it's really good to network because you'll just get so many ideas and you'll learn so much just from talking to people, and it kind of gives you this sense of, if you've been at work and you've been sitting there just at your SharePoint server, just sitting in your cubicle working on SharePoint tickets or taking calls all day long or fixing something on the server, it kind of feels lonely sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like your own little world, and nobody else at work understands SharePoint and you're the only one. Well, when you go to this conference, you're going to realize that there's this whole world and this awesome, awesome community of all these other people exactly like you, with roles exactly like you, and that feel exactly like you about SharePoint, and are doing the same thing day to day, maybe, and are coming across the same challenges, and you all can share tips and tricks with each other, and you all can just meet and make friends and follow people on Twitter and stay in touch with people. I'm not the best at staying in touch with people, but I know that I've definitely had some really good, enlightening conversations with just strangers at conferences at the lunch table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's good if you start following people on Twitter, if you do already or you plan to before, kind of get an idea of what they specialize in, if it's something that you're interested in, and who they are. And then even if you see them there, feel free to go up and introduce yourself, because you never know what kind of connection you can make from that. It might be just a quick, introduction. Hey, I appreciate what you, do for the community, et cetera, et cetera. But, that might be an interesting way to kind of have some good conversations with experts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a fairly intimate conference. It's not You're not going to get lost in this huge shuffle of 10,000 people.
Like
Um,
Ignite.
Ignite is pretty massive, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a different feel. So Ignite has got, all the products, like every single thing you can think of that you want to learn about there, and thousands and thousands and thousands, 10 or 15,000 people. So I have nothing against Ignite, but it's just a different sort of groove that you get when you go to SharePoint
Yeah, and
conference.
it's also people that could be in far different position. Like do work with different technologies and do different things than you do, because Ignite covers so many different things. It's nice that SharePoint conference is so focused.
Yeah, that's true. SharePoint conference is definitely very focused, and there is information about other Office 365 products at the SharePoint conference, but
Correct.
it's SharePoint geeks like us all there, and it's a lot of fun. So learn, definitely the first goal to do when you go there is to make sure that you learn, but going to sessions isn't the only way that you're going to learn. So you're going to go to the sessions, you're going to meet people, go hang out in the expo hall. They will have it's a social area. So when you go to the expo hall, you can go there and walk around to the booths, of course, get to know the vendors, and that's sort of where people hang out too. So when I say in step 3, when I say get immersed, that means don't just think of this as a business trip or your boss is making you go or something like that, and you just kind of, I tend to kind of do the antisocial thing, or I used to at conferences, where you just kind of go and then you go back to your room. But the SharePoint community is such a rich community, and so just all over Twitter, and just everybody just loves SharePoint in this community, and we all have these same sort of love hate sometimes. We same sort of challenges and things that we go through with SharePoint, but everybody's very friendly and very verbal and it seems very outgoing, even if you're not normally an outgoing person. A lot of times, people are outgoing at the SharePoint conference. So that's what I mean when I say get immersed, is to get involved in everything, and be, when you're there at the SharePoint conference, that's like 24/7 what you're doing. So there are going to be social things. A lot of the big vendors will throw parties. There's always an attendee party at the conference. A lot of the big vendors I'm not sure off the top of my head. It depends on kind of whose mailing list you're on and things like that. SPC Party Patrol is also a good Twitter handle to follow to get a feel for what's going on socially. But yeah, just kind of be at the conference and fill up your whole day with doing all the activities and events, and get involved in everything there. Craig says, rock the SharePoint. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, somebody actually mentioned, Beth, I think, mentioned it might be fun to do a Power Hour meetup.
Oh, yeah, we should.
If possible.
We'll have to figure that out. Okay, Beth, well, I will, what's the best way to plan that? Should we plan that like together in Slack in here? Or maybe create a new Slack channel?
That could be.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. I don't know, again, off the top of my head, I don't know what nights or what is going on, but yeah, Beth, you're in charge. No.
It'd probably be easy to just find one of the bars that are more like the hotel bar or whatever that's more open, that has like a lot of seating, and then just have people meet up there, and then
It is Vegas. There are plenty of bars, so yeah, absolutely.
That
yeah,
way
we
people
should do
can
that.
just come and go as they need.
Meet in person. Okay, we'll have to figure that out. I'm delegating it now. Okay, so I'll make a note to figure out the best way to do that, and where to do it and when to do it, and things like that. Great idea. I don't, as far as Power Hour goes at the SharePoint conference, I don't think that there's a Power Hour. I don't think that we're having Power Hour there or that there's a special podcast area. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that happening. So just speaking of Power Hour, I'm not sure if we'll be having one while we're there. We also have, so I went over, I sent you the link to, there's the SharePoint conference YouTube channel, and I actually put it when you go to my YouTube channel, when you're on the homepage of my channel, I actually put SharePoint conference as a little, like one of the little promoted channels on the side there, so that you have a quick link to it. But go look at that playlist full of all of the speakers' videos. So you've got that. And let's see, what else was I going to share with you? Some social stuff. All right, so this is going to be the 10th anniversary. So not really, but there was a first SharePoint conference. There was SPC08. And did you go to that one, Joelle?
No, my first one was in 2009.
I was actually on maternity leave during the very first SharePoint conference. My coworker at the time, Lori Gowan, got to go to it, and I didn't get to go. But SPC09 was the first one I went to. So this is the 10th anniversary. I can't believe it's been 10 years since SPC09.
Wow.
But Marcy Keller has been around SharePoint for a long time too, and I'll go ahead and share these pictures with you. I put a link to this in the general channel too, but I'll share my desktop. So this is Marcy Keller's SharePoint conference SPC09 pictures. So she does all these jump shots. She takes pictures of people jumping up. So there's Shane, used to be my boss, Shane and Nicola Young. So there's the two of them. Well, Nicola was really the boss, even though Shane was the boss. But yeah, there's just, there was a big 80s party. So there's me with my 80s gear on and a bunch of us just jumping and jumping and jumping a lot. Anyway, so she's going to be there this time, and she's going to be doing like this Daisy Fuentes sort of thing, like in her role at the conference this year. And she's going to be doing sort of where are they now, and and catching up with people that were speakers at 10 years ago, or people that were there at the conference 10 years ago, and going around and interviewing people and doing just this sort of silly thing there. So you'll probably see her around. Also, she's going to be interviewing just people and asking them silly questions and stuff like that. And, we're all a bunch of hams, as you can tell. So there will probably be a lot of people doing that sort of thing, just walking around. And Ducks, he likes to make videos too. If you're not following him, he's Meet Ducks on Twitter. So he'll do like at SPC09, he did these little videos. If SharePoint didn't exist, what would you be doing? And just silly, kind of interviewed people about that. So that was a lot of these are just around the conference. And, the fun thing about this, and it's, still every time we have SharePoint conference, is you have all these people, we all met on Twitter. All these people that I met at this conference, including Shane, who was my boss at the time, I met them all on Twitter. And we even had Twitter shirts made with all our Twitter names for the first time the first night of the conference, the night before the conference started, and we all met. It was like the bar in the hotel lobby. And we had our Twitter names on our shirts, and it was just awesome. So probably a lot of the people that's why I say to get on Twitter, is that probably a lot of the people that you'll see on Twitter tweeting a lot about the SharePoint conference are you'll meet them in person. So again, I met all of these people on Twitter. Joelle, did I meet you on Twitter?
Yes. Well, I think technically yes, but then we met at your user
my
group.
user group.
Yeah.
meeting. Yeah. So let me go back over here. So here is, this is SharePoint NA is the conference website. So this is the conference website right here. So you can go to SharePoint NA, you can look at all the news, the list of speakers, the list of sessions, all those big, long workshops, and get all the information about the sponsors and everything you need to know about SPC over there. And let me go back over to here. So again, let me see, does S. Turner, Scott, going to my workshop. That's awesome. Let's see, what else are people saying in here? Yes, Jeremy, I do have another session that I'm doing besides the workshop that I'm teaching. It's the one about the out-of-the-box web parts. I think that's on Tuesday. I could look here on the website and find out. There's another Laura too, isn't that funny? Yeah, making the most of modern out-of-the-box web parts, and I think it's going to be on Tuesday. But anyway, that's the other session I'm doing besides. And I'm not doing a booth, but I will be around, and hopefully, would love to meet all of you all, and we'll be hanging around the expo hall and all kinds of stuff like that. So go to SharePoint Conference to find all the information about the conference itself and to register. And just don't forget that this is, again, step one is to learn. So there's the dog. So get to know and get really intimately familiar with all those sessions and speakers that you're interested in, because it's not necessarily just about what the session says, right, Joelle? It's the speaker and sort of what their background is and what their forte is, because SharePoint's such a big product that we all have our sort of little niche. And it's such a big product that nobody's ever going to be able to really say, I am an overall SharePoint expert in absolutely everything there is SharePoint. It's just not physically possible. I've been doing, you and I have been doing SharePoint for what, like 12 or 13 years now, but I definitely don't know a ton about, especially like things like nitty gritty dev topics or admin, like where to find the logs and things like that. I don't even remember that stuff. So we all have our little specialties. So it's really good to get kind of figure out who those other people are, the speakers and other people in the community that are interested, that have the same sort of role and specialty that you're interested in, and get to know them and get to know, maybe read their blog and get to understand sort of where they're coming from and what they've been doing to be able to really get the most out of the sessions you're going to. I mean, I've had people come up to me at the conferences and they just hand me the whole paper, like for the conference, for all the list of all the sessions, and they're like, hey, can you just tell me which sessions I need to go to? And they're already at the conference and they're just like deciding this right before they go to the next session. But you're really going to get the most out of it if you do take the time to not just read the tiny little blurbs, but to understand more, and you don't want to accidentally end up in a session that you say, maybe I want to go learn about Microsoft Teams, and you go to a Microsoft Teams session and you're 10 minutes into it and you realize that the Microsoft Teams session you're in is for programmers who are writing bots for Microsoft Teams, and they're doing programming or they're doing server troubleshooting on Teams. And what you really want to learn is about user adoption and more of like just sort of Teams management for power users. And so it really helps because you don't want to end up in the wrong sessions and waste your time and then to be frustrated and not learn what you wanted to learn, right? Let's see. Oh, Beth said the party is going to be Wednesday night. That's good. Oh yeah, last year it was the B52s. I have, let's see, I have my pictures here. Here's a picture. Here are the pictures. Some pictures that I took last year. So that's at the me and Joelle at the photo booth. And that was watching the B52s, dinner with some friends and old coworkers. And that was outside at the conference. And that was, again, watching the B52s. It was a sort of a, they called it a pool party, and there was a pool, but there was no swimming allowed. But yeah, those are some of my pictures. I was looking for just older SPC pictures through the years, but Marcy has the best sort of set of pictures there for getting a feel for that. All right, so let me put my image back up there. There we go. Okay, so do you all have any questions, you all in the chat? Do you all have any questions about any particular topics or speakers or sort of advice that you need? So while I'm looking to see if you all are typing any questions, because Joelle and I are here live for fun, for to be able to talk to you. Let's talk, Joelle, about some planning tips and pro tips for what to plan or bring. What do you think when you're going to SPC? Good walking shoes?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're staying in the MGM Grand. Because if you're staying in the MGM Grand, it's a haul over to the conference center. So definitely be prepared for a long walk.
Well, yeah,
I think
if you're staying in another hotel, it's even a longer walk, right?
Well, if you're staying in another hotel, you can get dropped out.
Oh yeah,
you get dropped off in front.
Or something.
I mean, if you're walking, then yeah, it's even longer. But if you're staying in another hotel and you get dropped off, that might be a little bit easier. But yeah, it's a long walk. Also, I would say just definitely bring water and snacks. Bring business cards.
Business cards, yes.
With your contact, your Twitter, email information would probably be a good idea. So you can hand those out to people you meet at lunch and at other networking activities.
Yeah. Somebody asked if there's an app.
Is there? I'm sure there's going to be an app. I don't know if it's out there.
Yeah, I don't think there's an app right now, but a lot of the times they'll just announce that sort of getting closer to the conference.
There was last year, I think.
Yeah,
right?
there was one last year. So yeah, I'm like flipping through my phone to see if I can find it. But yeah, there will probably be an app, so that's always helpful. Let's see. Let's see. I keep saying S. Turner. Scott Turner says looking for Power Apps and Flow classes besides mine. Probably Shane is going to be a good. Let's see. Make sure he's there. Yep. Shane Young, my old boss, he's doing some Power Apps. Let's see. No, you need to go meet him because he's very much into Power Apps, but doesn't look like he's doing a Power App session. So let's go look. Let me see. I'm going to look for Power Apps in the product list, and Dave Feldman is doing one about customization without code. It's got SharePoint list libraries and Power Apps Flow and a bunch of things, so it's not necessarily a Power App session. Chris O'Brien he's actually a dev. So there's one called Enterprise Power Apps, Rich Apps with Offline Support and On-Premises Data. So I'll put that link in the chat window. But Chris O'Brien's background is that he's a dev. I've met him. He's really nice. I just saw him recently at MVP Summit. So this is a Power App session, but it's going to be a pretty technical one from what I see just from the title of it. So it's going to be pretty nitty gritty, which is really good stuff. So if you're working with on-premises data in your Power App, that's going to be a really good one to go to. And he even has a blog post that he wrote about Rich Apps about the offline support concept. He wrote a blog post about how to do that, the offline, how to make your Power Apps be available, have the data available offline. So Chris is going to be a really good one to meet and to go to his session. So Wes Preston, he's more of like a my kind of role, same role as me, like a no code power user. Well, he does write code. He's more of a dev than I am, but he's doing new approaches to the traditional SharePoint list view, Power Apps, and more. So he's so that's going to be ways that you can. I guess it's not a specific Power App session, but it's going to be probably a lot of really good tidbits of information about getting your SharePoint data to look a certain way, like in SharePoint list views and in Power Apps. And then, Cassia says, it's going to be your first one. Awesome. So how long are the sessions? They're usually about an hour. Let me see.
Yeah, 50 minutes to an hour.
50 minutes? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, usually too.
Something like that. Yeah, somewhere between 50 minutes, hour. Sometimes they're an hour and a half, hour 15. I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head for this one. And then I'm still looking through the Power Apps and Flow one. Oh, Daniel Christian. He's the Power Apps MVP, and I'll put the link to his in the chat here. He's actually in in here in the chat a lot. You might have seen him being very helpful. So he's doing a session called Power Apps and Flow, a one-stop shop for social media communication. So he's showing how you can use Power Apps to do social media in the Power App, probably by, using a lot of those connectors and building a nice little custom interface in your Power App. So he blogs and writes on the writes posts on the Power Apps community site a whole bunch. Let's see. Chandran, I can't pronounce his name. What's new and what's next? Transforming processes with SharePoint Power Apps and Flow. That looks like a good one to go to. I don't know how technical that one's going to be, though. It involves Power Apps, Forms, and Flow. So that's going to involve a lot of different solutions together. Also, let's see, what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. Snapboard, Jamie says Snapboard is where they posted SP 2018 conference sessions. Oh, okay. So they actually, is that what you mean? The recordings, Jamie? Is that what you're talking about?
I think they just posted the presentations last
Do
time.
what? What, Joelle?
I was saying, I think they just, I don't know if they posted recordings or if they just posted presentations last time. I really can't remember.
The slides.
Because Ignite definitely posts videos, but I don't know if.
Yeah, because I don't recall. I don't think they record them here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was trying to figure out what he
I
meant
think
by
you're right.
posted the sessions. Okay.
Probably just the presentations, like the actual,
okay.
PowerPoints.
Yeah. All right.
And I haven't seen anything about the keynote yet. I don't know if you have, if that's going to be recorded or not.
See, last year they live streamed the keynote.
They did
But
that,
you're right. So if you haven't yet, when you go to the SharePoint conference webpage, go ahead and sign up for the newsletter, and it's going to send you an email about if they're live streaming it, and that way you'll be in the know about everything going on with anything live that's going to be coming out of the conference. Also, there's just on the homepage there's a great intro invite from Jeff Teeper, who is over all of SharePoint at Microsoft. He's the main SharePoint guy. And so there's an intro video from him. And then they even have these little, there's a button that says convince your boss. You have to scroll down the homepage, but you can actually, it puts together, it has little letters, like a full written letter for you that you can use if you still haven't registered yet and you really want to go to help convince your boss that it's really helpful if you go to the SharePoint conference. Yeah. And what else am I missing? I wasn't sure if I'd be able to fill up 20 minutes, an hour. We have 20 minutes left though. But we do have, let's see, any other questions? Let's see what the other questions are. Do you believe there'll be something developed by Microsoft incorporated within SharePoint that will make it easier to migrate from earlier version of SharePoint to newer versions? Is there any session discussing this? I don't think so. Carlos, are you mainly referring to like the pages, like classic pages going to modern pages? Because that's the only sort of main blocker I would think of that because there are migration products already, and there's even, SharePoint migration. Microsoft provides that. So I'm trying to figure out if that's what you're asking. Let me see. I'm not sure off the top of my head though. Let me see if there would be, what kind of keyword would that be? It would be like classic.
Migration?
Yeah. Well, so there's a session by Martina Grom and Nikki Burrell called Real World from Fragmented Services to a Modern Intranet. So it's about an actual real customer that had a mixed environment with file shares, Dropbox, and Slack, and a bunch of different things, and how they migrated all these to the modern SharePoint. But I don't know if that's necessarily addressing what you're asking me.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like he's looking for like a built-in tool or something.
Oh, well, so yeah, I don't think there's going to be a tool. That's the thing is everything that they've said is for your modern pages to be modern, you have to start from scratch because all the web parts are completely different parts. So there isn't really a way to convert the old stuff to be new. Like you're just going to be starting all over, and you can do it gradually, but it's not, I don't think that they have plans to have a product like that, or to have any sessions about any kind of automatic thing like that. But there is a session called Taking Your SharePoint to the Next Level, Transforming Existing Sites to the Modern Experiences. That sounds like exactly what, I'll copy the link in here. That sounds like kind of what you're asking, but it's showing how there's actually even an analyzer that Microsoft provides. There's an analyzer that can run through your sites and see what's prepared to go to modern. So it's going to talk to you about how to do the analyzer. So Carlos, if you're asking about migration of entire farm, that's going to be more of going to talk to ShareGate. And ShareGate, is a really good migration tool. Microsoft does have a built-in migration tool that I think it's just called SharePoint Migration. I think it's just on the homepage when you go to your Office 365 admin. But I don't know. Let's see if there are any. A lot of the times that's the kind of stuff that Shane and Todd would talk about. So there are definitely going to be some. If you just do a just a text search, just go to the list of all the sessions and do a search for the word migration. There's gonna be one that's like your migration strategy and taking into account everything, SharePoint, Teams, and Yammer, and putting together a migration strategy to move to be able to be using all those different products. Let me see. Migration Tools and Strategies for OneDrive and SharePoint Online by Henny Loza and Annie Wu. And that is going to be Come Learn How to Plan Your Migration to SharePoint Online. So that's going to be a good one for you. Yeah. Definitely go to the ShareGate booth.
Yeah, ShareGate's probably going to be
and
your
the ShareGate
best bet.
party. But yeah, the migration tools and strategies one sounds good. And those are Microsoft people doing that session.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you can get like you were saying, you can get the data over there, your lists and libraries and your content over very
I
easily.
recommend you start from scratch. Don't move all that old crap.
Oh yeah. But I was just gonna say that. I was actually just gonna say I would recommend going through a planning phase to look at how you would want to use modern concepts like hub sites and communication sites and team sites, and actually kind of start fresh, and then just migrate the library or list data over as you need it from the old sites. I mean, that would be my way of doing it.
Yeah. And then there's optimize your transition from non-Microsoft platforms to Microsoft 365, but that's not really migrating. There's also one by Adam Levithan, who's another MVP. It's take advantage of your SharePoint and Office 365 migration. So it's 5 stages of a successful migration. He's really good. I recommend his session. And you can follow him on Twitter too. I think when in the list of all the speakers, it has all of our Twitter information too, to be able to follow everybody. Let's see. Yeah. So those are the having to do with migration. Those are going to be the one. Zach says, is it worth learning farms or just moving forward with online as I know it? I don't know what you mean by that. Is there a typo in there? What do you mean by learning farms? Let's see. I think somebody typed something over in the general channel too. Oh yeah. So Henry Jones put a link in the general channel for the web page all about converting pages from classic to modern, if you all are interested in that. And Craig also recommends ShareGate. Thanks, Beth. Yeah, we'll keep in touch here in Slack, and we'll just kind of keep Slack, kind of check it every day or so, and we'll see if we can set something up to meet each other in person. That'll be so much fun. Yeah. Any other questions about the conference? I think Joelle went over all the best things to bring. Don't forget to watch all the promo videos. Follow SPC19 on Twitter, even if you've never been on Twitter. Definitely get social. Check out, let's see, I'm trying to think, just in general, good walking shoes, business cards,
Snacks.
Oh, snacks are always good. Those little
battery.
The portable power plugs.
Yeah. That's really important.
Oh, Zach said the server version of SharePoint. Oh, yeah. If you are not on premises right now, I don't recommend going to on-premises SharePoint. I would just definitely stay with SharePoint Online. So what?
I was just going to say, like, I think it just depends, like, if your company is like saying they're going to stay on and they want to be on SharePoint, like the latest version of SharePoint, but on premises, then you kind of have to. But if you're like a consultant, then I would say no, because I would say we get 90% of our customers are SharePoint Online, and maybe like 10% that are either migrating or are staying, so I would say as a consultant, not really worth it.
Yeah, so personally I consider, like, all the people that are using on-premises SharePoint, those are companies that have been on it for a while and have just some sort of regulations or rules, or just a strict CEO who doesn't want to move to the cloud as far as a reason not to go to the cloud, because everybody that could have gone to the cloud already, just so many people have already done it. So yeah, For sure. For sure. I would definitely not. Don't try learning SharePoint farms from scratch if you're not already immersed in that world. I wouldn't think that would be a valuable way to spend your time. But maybe it's like one of those things like COBOL, Joelle, where, you know, people who are COBOL programmers make like 6 figures now because it's so old.
It's going to be .NET soon.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We've got 9 minutes left, but I think we pretty much covered. Let's see. Yolanda says, there are any SharePoint certification prep sessions at the conference? I don't know. I know a lot of the times the Microsoft conferences have those.
Yeah, I think that's probably more Ignite.
Yeah, that's more of an Ignite thing, I think. Oh yeah. So somebody made a comment. The PNP group has a page converter for for classic to modern. Okay, good to know.
It says lots of web parts not translated over to modern though.
Yeah. That's my little Facebook comments widget.
Oh, that was your Facebook.
Kind of awkward. All right. Well, let's see. Oh, Craig says, going back to networking, what have you found to be the top 3 items you found that have worked the best? Ooh, as far as networking?
Finding people alone. I know that sounds creepy, but if it's somebody sitting alone at a lunch table, you can kind of jump in and chat with them because they're probably feeling like they want to, you know what I mean? Like they're probably feeling a little lonely.
Yeah, and so what a lot of the times what I'll do is, again, I'll just show up at lunch by myself and just go sit at a table full of people I don't know.
That aren't talking to each other already.
Just start talking, and just start talking to people. And you'll have like a table with 3 just separate individual people sitting around the table that you can tell they don't know each other, and start talking to people. And also you can, when you're walking around the booths and this is I guess maybe kind of creepy, but I guess any way that you go and meet a complete stranger could be considered creepy. But when you're walking around the booths and you're hearing conversations about people talking to vendors or asking questions to vendors, you'll get a sense for, you know, somebody that's maybe in the same boat as you when it comes to, you know, some third-party product that they're looking at or asking about. Somebody put a picture of the last existing team of COBOL developers. They're a bunch of dinosaurs. Let's see.
Cassia asked if she should bring a laptop, and I think it just depends on you. I would say yes, if you have, especially if you have like a Surface or something like that, and if you like to take notes that way, or like grab, you know, like review the presentation if you can grab it beforehand, or, you know, take pictures or whatever. Like if that's your kind of the way you like to learn, then that's probably a great idea. Just keep in mind though that you're not going to have a ton of places to charge it, so definitely, you know, charge it and bring a battery pack.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, I could just take notes on my phone, but how likely am I to like pick up my phone and start typing notes about the session that I'm in? So then it's really helpful for me to have my Surface just in front of me. That way, if they say something interesting that I need to remember, I'll just be able to quickly just type it out and make a note to myself about it. And also it helps if you're, again, if you're being involved on Twitter and you're tweeting about the sessions that you're in, which a lot of people do, then it's more convenient to be able to do that on your laptop. So I definitely recommend bringing a Surface or a laptop.
Yeah, and if you don't have it, I mean, what I've done in the past is just taken pictures of the slides with my phone, and then put them into my OneNote that I create for the conference, and then I can kind of go back and like gather those later and look at them later. That tends to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and definitely go to SharePoint. So if you're not familiar, if you've never been, we have this thing called SharePoint. So like SharePoint by day, SharePoint by night. So that's SharePoint is what we call it when all of us SharePoint nerds get together and drink at these conferences and at SharePoint Saturdays and that kind of thing. So So Jamie said, pro tip at SharePoint, find the people who do not drink and snag their beer tickets. So that's Jamie's pro tip. So yeah, that's a good way to go up and meet people you don't know. Just get drunk, right? That's terrible. So no.
I mean, it works for some people, you know, a little bit of, yeah, for me, it doesn't, that's not my cup of tea.
So are you migrating to SharePoint too?
For some people, that little bit of liquid courage helps.
Oh my gosh. Power Hour was not going to be all about SharePoints and drinking, but yeah, there's SharePoint's a thing. Also, speaking of SharePoint, just real quick, we are going to be at SharePoint Saturday in Atlanta, which is May 11th. So come meet us and come meet me and Joelle and Chris. We will have a booth there. And Chris is actually 3D printing our swag that we're going to be giving out.
Ooh, fancy.
Da-da-dum. So I'll have to take a picture of that. It's these little, it's a, well, I'll take pictures and I'll tweet it out. Twitter. So, yeah, that'll be fun. So hopefully we'll meet a lot of you there at SharePoint Saturday in Atlanta if you are in the area. And thanks everybody for coming to this sort of more social, silly, freeform Power Hour to talk about SharePoint Conference. So thank you all for coming, even if you're not going to be there in person. And be sure and go to the SharePoint, it's SharePointNA.com. Go to that website and sign up, at least get the newsletter so that you can get notifications about if anything's going to be streaming live or just anything that you should follow, or it's a lot of the content that they tweet out there, things that the speakers have written. So head on over and don't forget to use my code Rogers when you register. And I appreciate you all coming. And I am not having SharePoint Power Hour next week because we are teaching our week-long Power Apps and Flow class. It is Power Apps for 3 days, Monday through Wednesday, and Flow for 2 days, Thursday and Friday. So you could sign up for the whole week or just Power Apps or just Flow. So that is next week. And so I'll not be having Power Hour because of that. But hopefully I will see a lot of you in Atlanta or in Vegas. And thanks everybody for coming. I'm excited. Yay. See you there.